it seriously feels like I only just wrapped up July. Like, how does this keep coming around so fast? Like, we are in September and August is already over. Like, where is this year going? Hey guys, so I'm here to do my wrap up for the month of August, but also do my wrap up for the N.E.W.T.S, which I failed. I failed so badly. I'm not gonna have a career. I'm gonna be living as a bum on the street, and I'm very sad about it, but I've accepted that my life is gonna be jobless. I read 9 books this month, but I only read 7 towards the N.E.W.T.S because the other 2 books I read didn't fit the challenges to get my career, and I didn't qualify for any other careers, so I don't even have a backup. I really should have gone writer/journalist, but I really wanted to try and challenge myself and I failed. Anyway, I'm here to show you the books that I read this month, and I read quite a few good ones and I'm just excited. So the first book I read was Ignite Me by Tahira Mafe, and this means I have finished my reread. I am so excited. Like, it's been over a year and a half since I should have done this. This one is definitely my favorite out of the trilogy because I just love everything that happens, and it's When My Babes Come Endgame, and it is seriously my favorite book with Warner in it because I just love him so much, and this is just his book. He's very special in this one for me and I love him, but I also love where the story goes, and I always thought that it ended in a way that I needed more. Like, I needed to know what else was going to happen, and now there's going to be 3 more books that I can read, and I'm finally actually going to be reading stuff that I haven't read before, because I will be reading Restore Me this month as Buddy Read with Sasha because we're going to keep going with the series, and then we've got Defy Me to read, and then we're going to have to wait until Imagine Me comes out next March or something. I'm not sure, is it April? It's coming out sometime next year, but I will be there hopefully reading that book straight away, and hopefully we can buddy read that as well. I just had so much fun with this reread, and I actually like the series a lot more upon reread, because the first time I read it I gave it all 4 stars, but this time I gave it 5 stars because I'm like, it's amazing. Why did I give it 4 stars? Highly recommend if you have not read the Shadowy series because it's so good. Even though the first book is a bit testing, just at least get to the second one, and if you don't like it after the second one, then you probably don't like the series, but if you end up liking it, keep going after that as well. Next, I finally read Almost Midnight by Rainbow Rowell, and this is 2 short stories that she wrote, so it's a very tiny little baby book. I gave this 3 stars because I just feel like I couldn't connect to the characters, and I know that they're short stories, but like, they all fell in love after 20 pages, and I'm like, okay, there is not enough depth in these relationships for me to actually accept them. And the first one was just like, nah, like, it took place over like 5 years, but we only got 2 seconds of every year, and suddenly they're kissing and they're happy, and I'm like, okay. And the story about Star Wars was like, okay, but it just kept feeling like the same stuff was happening. It was quite boring. I definitely prefer Rainbow Rowell when she's actually writing full-formed novels because it's just the easier way to go here. Then I listened to Red, White and Royal Blue by Casey McQuiston, which is like probably going to be one of my favorite books of the year because it was so adorable. I loved this with a passion. I filmed a whole book review that I will link down below because you guys should watch it, because I am just gushing my heart out about this book. I love Alex, I love Henry, I love June, I love the whole story premise, and the love is so cute. I will honestly gush about this book all day if I don't stop myself, so I'm gonna move on, but read it if you haven't. And then I finally read Assassin's Heart by Sarah Ayers, and I've had this book for like 4 years. It was one of the first books that I bought as a hardcover, and it finally happened, and oh my god, I was so disappointed. I gave this 3 stars because there's part of the story that I liked, but honestly most of it was just kind of stupid. So what happened though is I went onto Goodreads and I started looking at a couple of reviews from people, and everyone was just talking all negatively about this stuff. And generally if I read a negative review before I've gone into a book, I can kind of disconnect and be like, yeah, well, I'll see what I feel. But when I see so many, and sometimes it just affects me that I instantly start thinking I'm going to feel the same way as the reviews, that's how the book's going to end up, because you're instantly going into it like, I'm not going to like it, and generally you end up not liking the book. Even if it was the best book ever, you're going to be like, yeah, but that person didn't like this bit, so I'm not going to like this bit. So I had a very big struggle with this book, and this is why my N.E.W.T.S failed, because it took me 10 days to read this. I could have potentially had 3 books read in 10 days, but I had 1, and I'm very annoyed. But this book was just, like, I didn't feel connected to it because the main character's family all gets killed, and I didn't even care about her family because I never knew them, so why would I feel sad about a family that's gone? And then all she does is just travel in the desert, then find an uncle, and then just tries to learn how to fight, and I'm like, what is even the point of any of the stuff that's going on in this book right now? And then she like gets a new love interest that like probably is my favorite part of the book because I did like him, and then there's like these ghost things, and then like they all are clippers, and they're like allowed to kill people because people pay them, but no one else is allowed to kill people. Like, it was just like, I didn't like the whole point. So I will not pick up the sequel because I don't want to know what else is going to happen in this. So I finally picked up The Quiet at the End of the World by Lauren James, and I'm very happy that I've read all of her books that I own now, which is really good. And I actually really liked this one. Like, The Loneliest Girl in the Universe was a real letdown for me, and I feel so sad that it was. But this book was so good. And oh my god, there were so many twists and turns that I did not see coming. But like the first 100 pages, I was very bored, and I'm like, what even is going to happen? There's just a bunch of old people and these two kids that just keep finding shit in dirt. That was the first 100 pages, but then it hit and it got so good and I was so invested and I was so excited just to keep reading. So this one I actually read pretty quickly, which I'm very glad about. But like, generally these smaller paperbacks you can get through quickly if you actually sit down and take the time to read it. But I ended up really liking this. I gave it 4 stars. Like, I still feel The Next Together is going to be my favorite of hers because I just loved the whole idea of the reincarnation with that story. But I definitely recommend picking this up because it was a pretty good book, and I do like the premise of having it that suddenly everyone kind of babies anymore. And this is the other end of that spectrum where there's only like a couple hundred people left in the world. So it's not like the first time where people are all like, oh shit, we can't have babies anymore. Like, this is like death has become all of us, and I really enjoyed it. Okay, the next book I read was Heartstopper Volume 1 by Alice Osman, and oh my god, I did a really bad thing and I bought the first 2 volumes of this graphic novel without using the money from my TBR Money challenge. But guys, these are graphic novels and are very easy to read, and I made sure I read them as soon as possible, so it doesn't really count into my TBR if I've already read them. I'm just gonna not count it because I just really wanted them, and I don't read graphic novels. Graphic novels are not my thing, and especially because they're so expensive, and I'd rather just read a book, you know. But these ones everyone was talking about, and I just read Red, White and Royal Blue, and I'm like, I need to get this cute story, and I also need to get Solitaire because the main character Charlie in this is the main character's brother in Solitaire, and this takes place before that book, so I want to see them in their cutie relationship in that book. But I probably won't buy it for a while because I have so many things to read. But I loved this so much. It is seriously so cute, and I love the artwork and the reading, and like, look at the doggy. Like, these were adorable. I love Charlie and Nick so much, and their relationship's so cute, even though Charlie's like 14, and I'm like, you should not be thinking of love right now. You're only a baby. It was so good. Like, it was just so good. I read it in like one sitting because, I mean, it's very easy to get through because you're literally looking at pictures, but how much time are you meant to spend looking at the pictures? Because I feel like I was just going boop, 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 but like reading it really quickly, and I'm like, how quickly am I meant to be reading it? Like, I'm reading the text, but I kind of look at things and I'm like, okay, next one, next one, next one, next one, next one, next. Like, I feel like I don't know how to handle graphic novels. It's just too much stress. And then guys, I reread The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern this month, and oh my god, it's so weird. I can't believe I reread my favorite book in the whole universe, and it was a very weird experience because I didn't remember like a lot of what happened. I thought I did, but mainly I'm here like, oh, there's a circus and Celia and Marco, and poof, that's it. That's the only things I remembered. But I love this book so much, and even though I did notice quite a lot how slow it is upon reread, which I'm really sad about because I didn't want to think it was slow, but the pacing of this book is like that because you really need to get captivated by every little thing, and every little thing and detail in this book is so important, and it's just so much. But I just love it so much. It's so good. I'm just so excited that I did decide to reread it because I've been saying I was going to do it for so long. Like, if you guys have been here in the last 2 years, you would know how many times I've said I'm going to reread this, and it didn't happen. I made it happen in the readathon, and that's probably the biggest thing that I got done in the Newts, is get my favorite book reread. And then I listened to Daughter of the Siren Queen by Tresha Levenseller. I wanted to continue on with this duology straight away to get it finished, and because it was an audiobook, I just listened to it in the car, so it wasn't really taking me away from my reading of the Newts, and none of the books that I had on my TBR were on Scribd, so I couldn't really listen to them except for Red, White and Royal Blue. But this was so good, and I honestly recommend listening to the audiobooks for this duology because the voice is so good and it just really captivated me to keep reading. And these audiobooks, the first one's like 8 hours and this one was like 10 hours. So like there is 18 hours of listening here, but I feel like I got through it so quickly. But I just really love these characters and it was a really great, and I really enjoyed where this book went as well, and it was like just as good as the first one and I didn't feel like I was let down at all. I gave this one 5 stars as well, but I highly recommend it, and I'm just so glad that I finally finished it because I feel most of the time I'll read the first book in a series and then I won't pick up the sequel for like 14 years. So this is one that I'm like, I've got to read the sequel very soon so I don't get caught up and then I forget what happens in the first one and then I got to reread the first one to then read the second one. Like I didn't want all that happening. So I'm so glad I finally read these 2 books and they were just really good. And then the last book I read was Heartstoppers Volume 2 by Alice Onsman, and this one was still so cute and the artwork is just so cute. I love it so much. But this one really focuses on Nick's journey to coming out and how scared he is, and I understand it because when Charlie came out as gay, everyone bullied him, and Nick is bisexual opposed to being gay, but that's still something he has to come to terms with, especially because they're like boyfriends now and they're so cute. And I love that Charlie never pressures him to come out because Nick is so scared that Charlie resents him for having to hide their relationship, but Charlie's so beautiful that he just wants Nick to do it on his own terms, and I think that's just wonderful. And oh, I just want the next volume, but it's not coming out until next year, but I need it. So these are all the books that I read this month. I'm so excited that I got so much reading done, but Daughter of the Siren Queen and Heartstopper Volume 2 weren't part of the readathon because I swapped in Heartstopper Volume 1 for one of the challenges because I was going to read the love interest or something and that didn't happen. But then I didn't end up finishing, so I decided to read Heartstopper Volume 2 on the last day just to get another book into my wrap-up opposed to my N.E.W.T.S wrap-up. But Daughter of the Siren Queen was just, you know, because I wanted to listen to another audiobook because I generally get 2 done a month. So I had a really good reading month and this has brought my TBR down just a smidge, so I'm happy. And I went pretty good on my read by tally. So I read 9 and I bought 6, and pretty much every book that I read I've already read now except for 2. So my TBR is pretty happy with me in the moment because it's down to like 383, and I know you guys are still going to be like, holy shit, that's still a lot of books, but it was over 400 for quite a few months, so I'm actually bringing it down, especially since I did that unhaul. But I just want the number to keep going down and not going up. And for my TBR money challenge, because I'll tell you how much I made, Unravel Me was a book with flowers on the cover which added $5. Almost Midnight was a book that's under 200 pages, so that added another 5. Red, White and Royal Blue was a book recommended to me because I'm going to say Sasha recommended it because she just talked non-stop about that book, so I just had to read it to know what she was going on about, and I'm very glad I did. Assassin's Heart was Reader 2016 release, so another 5. The Quiet at the End of the World was a book with blue on the cover, so that added $2. Heartstopper Volume 1 was Reader Contemporary, which it was, and it was cute and adorable, so that was another 5. The Night Circus was a buzzword book because circus is a buzzword for me since reading The Night Circus, because I need to read anything with circuses in it now because my favorite book is about a circus. Anything about a circus is going to make me very, very excited. Daughter of the Siren Queen was Read a Duology, and that added $10 into my jar because I already read Daughter of the Pirate King, so this finished up the duology, and I did read the duology this month, so that worked out really well. And just at the end of the month, I bought 1 new book and I lost $25, so my new total was $19. So Heartstoppers Volume 1 and 2 weren't in that TBR. I bought 2 other books that I've already read, and then I had a gift card and I bought a book with that as well, so it didn't count because I had a gift card to buy that book. So generally I only bought 1 book from my TBR money fund this month, even though I bought 6 as a whole. But anyway guys, hopefully you enjoyed my wrap up. Thanks for watching and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!